We off? Yeah. Okay, well, nice to see you again. Hope you've been practising since we last saw each other.
Absolutely.
Before we get on to our practical today, we're going to have a think about what makes a good teacher. And it might seem like a very short answer, but the more you think about it, the more you'll start to think about what we can cover in that subject. So what I would like you to do first is just to jot down a few notes under these questions here about what you think makes a good teacher. So I've asked you what qualities, so think about a class that you've been to. It might be Pilates, it could be yoga, or it could be another group exercise class, and what it was that you liked about that class, and that might start triggering some ideas.
Do you want us to do all of these? Or just
Yeah.
that top one?
Yeah, all of them. It could just be one word, because we're going to, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to tell me what you've come up with. So just maybe just one word to trigger off what you're thinking, and then we can get some ideas up on the whiteboard. I'm getting on.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm hoping, so what we're going to do, I'm going to ask you for your ideas, maybe just take it in turns to come up with something, just brainstorm, and then that should then lead us into thinking about then what skills we need to develop to make sure we can cover everything when we're thinking about teaching. And think from not just maybe necessarily teaching in the classroom, but what leads on before that and then also after that. So Sophie, if you start with an idea.
A friendly environment.
Good. Kirsty?
A good education on the subject that they're teaching.
So knowledge, subject
yeah.
knowledge. Okay, Sophie?
Giving clear explanation.
Great.
Energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Sophie? Allowing time for self-exploration.
How should we word that? So, Time for students. To relax, maybe explore,
Yeah.
reflect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like being in control, not getting flustered, or if something doesn't go perfect, you know, dealing with the situation professionally.
So being adaptable,
Adaptable.
responding,
Yeah, so
so keeping calm,
keeping calm, yeah, calm and
not reacting under pressure,
yeah,
staying calm under pressure, and adaptability. Yeah?
yeah,
Being inclusive of all students.
Great. Yeah?
correcting incorrect technique
Yeah.
and sort of, you know, it comes back to its explanation, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of comes back to it.
So clear explanation falls into a category of part of communication skills.
Yeah.
So let's expand on that. So under communication skills, then corrections would be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Before you can correct, what do you need to be able to do?
Observe.
Observe. So observing is really important as a communication skill. So observe and correct. With your corrections, what do you need to think about?
Whether, not well, lots of things, but not to overcorrect.
Yeah. So
Especially-
clients think they're being picked on. So maybe
Yeah.
if they're a new client,
Appropriate.
just
Yeah.
choose the main things to start rather than bombard them with too much
Bombard.
information. So you're going to be sensitive.
Yeah.
So yeah, not overcorrect. And what else is really important when you're approaching an individual in the class? If you're going to correct on one person,
Maybe say something positive as well.
yeah. So try and do it in a way that's positive. Well, we've already mentioned sensitive, but the tone of your voice is really important. So think about your tone, and then praise afterwards. So what else could come under communication skills? So observe, correct.
Being clear.
So clear, yes. So you might want to think about speaking slowly.
And the level of the volume level that you use.
Yeah. So appropriate volume, and probably in a calm voice. If it's a small space, you might have a calm voice. If it's a big room, you might need to. But in fact, if you're one-to-one, you can be quite calm. So if you've got a group as well, you want to try and, like I said, be inclusive. You want to make sure that within your class you've seen everybody at least once throughout the class.
Yeah.
Obviously, beginners you're going to spend a bit more time with, but so just make sure that you acknowledge or pay attention to everyone. So you've got observe, correct. Within your corrections, what's quite similar to that, but you might actually offer before you even observe something you need to correct? What might you offer to the class as a whole?
Sorry.
No, you go.
An explanation, so they could self-correct before you have to.
Yeah. So you want to so demonstrate. So demonstrate.
Demonstration.
So you could demonstrate. What could you do within your demonstration? Make sure you offer to your
give
class
alignment
technique. Yes, a demonstrations technique. They're more likely then for you not to have to correct because you've given them a clear explanation verbally, so verbal communication. And what might you offer as part of the demonstration? Beginning with M. Modifications, or how to make it
easier
or harder.
Yeah.
So there are other things to communicate, modifications, easier and harder. And I think what teachers sometimes think is that they need to know their subject really well and be really good at Pilates. But actually, a good teacher is somebody who's observing, correcting, modifying, giving people options. So you could have somebody in the room maybe doing even a different exercise if they can't put pressure on their wrists. You might give them something completely different on their sides. And that's okay. And I think, in fact, that's what stands a good teacher out. And if you're giving somebody one-to-one attention, they're more likely to return to your class than go to a big group where people aren't getting that attention and focus. So that covers inclusive. So looking at the skills, so we've talked about communication skills, which all of these come into. What other communication skills would be important? I mean, energy, enthusiasm would come into that, yeah?
Yeah, so tone of voice.
The tone of voice and smiling, so really important, which you've put friendly environment, so you've kind of covered that. But as soon as somebody walks into the room, smile.
So being approachable.
Being approachable. When you're teaching as well, especially when you first start, you're obviously normally very concentrated on what you're teaching, what you're going to say, and you can forget to smile sometimes, so it's quite important just to remember that, to make people feel relaxed. Did you come up with any other ideas?
On the first one?
Just generally, yeah. So we've talked about communication skills we've covered.
CPD, so continuously sort of learning and building on your skills.
Yeah, that's a good one. So ongoing learning. So, and really, your initial qualification is just a start. You never really stop learning, and the more you learn, the more you realise there is to learn. So subject knowledge. What sort of skills would come under this? I've written some skills down. So communication skills is one. Subject knowledge is fallen into teaching skills. And in fact, a lot of what we've done here, I've put under teaching skills. So within subject knowledge, what do you need to think about there? So this is more to do with your actual lesson.
So how you present the knowledge that you have, you mean? So don't make it too wordy, or to make sure that it's understandable.
Yeah. So what might you do before you teach your lesson?
A plan.
Yeah. So I've put a lesson plan that would be follow a structure. So your structure of your lesson. Okay. What do we normally want? We want to make sure it's safe and effective, and a safe and effective class will normally have some sort of a
like a flow.
Yeah, well, like a warm up. Some sort of warm up, and then within the class you want to make sure you're giving a balanced workout. So what would you be thinking about to make sure the workout's balanced?
Sort of easy and hard options.
What do you want to make sure you've done by the end of your class?
Every type of body movement.
Which are, so you've got...
So lateral, flexion, forward flexion, back bending.
Yeah, so you're balancing flexion work with extension work and rotation work. And then lengthening, so you want to make sure you've put in some specific stretches as well. And then you have a beginning and a middle and an end to your class. So normally a warm up, some sort of stretching or relaxation at the end, and then your workout in the middle. So if you went to a class that didn't have any structure at all, it would feel wrong and not feel good. Okay, so I've put down here, so can anybody think of any other skills as a heading? So I've got communication skills, teaching skills. I've got four others that I've thought of that I would say falls under what makes a good teacher.
Well, I would say like social or personability, but I mean that kind of is like
communication or teaching.
Yeah, I've put a heading of presentational skills. So setting a good example. Okay, so wearing appropriate clothing, looking presentable, clean, fresh, looking like you keep yourself fit and healthy. So again, if you went into a class where your teacher didn't look like they took care of themselves, you may not be motivated to go back. And practicing what you preach.
Yeah, I've got that.
So you do need to have, an ability to be able to demonstrate, but by the same token, the teaching skills are equally, if not more important, so it's remembering the teaching skills as well. What is there in today's society that we need to be really careful with in terms of thinking about our image and how people are perceiving us? Social media. So in particular, Facebook. So think about what you're putting on your Facebook page that anybody can see, because I have heard stories of people seeing what people do up to the weekend and it affects their reputation. So that's
business Facebook.
Keeping it exactly. So you just have a business Facebook and Twitter, because it can obviously be really good for your business, but it can have a downside. So that's just something else to think about. Okay, did you get anything else?
I put to make a connection with students, but that's also communication.
Yeah. So to make a connection with the students, you can do that before, during and after the class. I've kind of put that probably under business skills in a way, but yes, you're going to make a connection or not. I mean, if you're working in a gym, it's very different to establishing your own class.
Yeah.
If you're establishing your own class and they're coming back week by week, you'll definitely get that connection in the class.
So promote yourself.
And then it's keeping that contact,
Yeah.
keeping up to date, so that's where your Facebook and Twitter will stand you in good stead. What else is a really popular way of finding out how you might be able to improve your classes or make sure your clients are happy?
Asking for feedback.
Yeah.
Or
So,
working with a peer.
yeah. So always ask students for feedback. You can either do that outside your class by email if you haven't got time, if you've got back-to-back lessons, or you can do it at the end of the class. And just taking time before the class just to speak to the students and see if there's anything that's come up from the week before. So, and also maybe just asking about injuries, so even if they filled out PARQ initially, if they're coming back week by week, has anything changed? Give people an opportunity to give you information that you can use to tailor the class to the individual. And that's where then they'll almost become reliant on you as their teacher, and then you'll build up as established following. So, we've pretty much covered everything I've thought of. There's just, so what we want to really think about is what does that mean for you? So, is there any areas that you think, okay, because I've put presentational skills, organisational skills, that's something that we covered. So, making sure you're arriving in time for your class, to set the room up so that when people walk in, the mats are laid out, have the music playing on at a nice low level so they start to feel relaxed. Also check the room temperature and the lighting's adequate, and then have a lesson plan so that you know what you're teaching for that lesson. So there's presentational skills, organisational skills, communication skills, teaching skills, and listening skills as well. So, which we kind of just covered. So information that people are giving you, and you're thinking how you can tailor what they're telling you.
Also making sure that you're observing if anyone's struggling, if say the pace of the class as you're teaching, you might need to adapt depending on who your students are.
Yeah, and on that note, at the end of the class, if you felt that the person was in a class that wasn't suitable for them, either it was too easy or it was too hard, then you can go up to the student at the end. And I often do this if I get somebody come to my beginners who I can see has picked it up really quickly. After week 2 or 3, I'll say to them, if you're happy in this class, that's fine, but if you feel like you want to be worked a little bit harder, I'll come to an improve or an intermediate. And obviously it works the other way. If somebody's dropped in to a class, it's harder to suggest they go down and up. But again, if you approach it in the right way, they really do, they love the fact that you've taken that time to recommend them, and you're more likely to keep them. The other thing is one-to-ones. So if you see somebody's really struggling, and you could offer them the opportunity for a one-to-one session, or if you haven't got back-to-back classes, invite them to come 15 minutes early the following week, just to go over a few things. So listening skills, and then the last one I've put is business skills. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See if you can write them down and remember them, just so the 6 different skill sets that we've just discussed. Done it?
I've got
I've done 4, I think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I don't even think I've got to do
Okay, let's see if we've got them between you. Kirsty?
So, teaching skills and
Teaching skills.
communication skills.
Communication skills, Sophie?
Business skills.
Yeah.
I also got communication skills. I put knowledge, but
That was teaching
that was
skills.
organisational skills.
Yes.
Yeah, I missed that. I got business, but I put presentation, listening.
Listening.
Skills.
And, oh, did you put presentation?
Yeah.
Presentational, yeah, that was it, that was all of them.
Oh, good.
Well done. So what I've done, I've just done this for a handout to remind you, and I think if you just take a moment at some point just to look at these and just be honest with yourselves as to which one set of skills you naturally find quite easy for you and which ones you might need to work on, because we've all got different strengths and weaknesses. And then you can find the areas that you might need to think about and develop as you start to do your practical training and your case studies. Okay?
Right.
Have you got any questions?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Well, there we go. Now we all know how you're going to be amazing teachers.